Hi, we're back, and we're going to do something a little different today. I've been working on my own comic book issue number one and set of comic book characters that I created. And basically, me and ChatGPT wrote the story and made the pictures. So this is all just me, but it's my idea and my um, uh, character, comic book character. All right, so here we go. This is called it's called Shadow Immortal, issue number one, written by Michael Lopez, story by Michael Lopez, and ChatGPT helped me out, and the art by ChatGPT. All right, scene one: the noise beneath. Wide shot of world net. A lattice of shimmering data streams pulsing through orbiting satellites and ground relays. Its 2650's global nervous system, powered by quantum chips that process thought level encryption. Most citizens only access the surface layer. Shadow Immortal swims in the deep. Inside the code sea, he appears as his green glowing avatar, lines of ancient text rippling across his armor, fragments of the Book of Life feeding real time decryption streams from the quantum chip embedded in his skull. So his inner monologue says, "The world hums with a million voices, truth, lies, dreams, but sometimes there is sound that doesn't belong." The disturbance, he freezes mid scan, static crawls across his vision like digital dust. It's not just corrupted data, it's organized noise, a whisper pattern bouncing through low bandwidth dark channels. He focuses. The codex nexus hums, quantum resistance locked in. Signal origin, classified subnet, encryption, obsolete, organic hybrid, frequency 0.002 hertz variance. He follows the signal into an ancient protocol zone, the relics of what once was Tor, now called the Shadow Layer, used by smugglers, data thieves, and resistance networks. Its nodes looks like black glass pyramids floating in endless darkness. He decodes a private stream, a live pre-meeting chat, silhouettes flicker, mask profiles, synthetic voices, the unusual underworld chatter about smuggling, data theft, organ trade, and politics. But then a new user joins the chat, Pure Blood. His icon is a crimson sun pulsing slowly. The chat freezes for a split second. Even the criminals seem uneasy. Pure Blood, Pure Blood's text overlay. Brothers and sisters, the world forgot who it belongs to. We will remind it. Shadow Immortals narrows his eyes. His inner thoughts are, never heard that name before. But the signal feels strong, too clean, too confident, not an amateur. He digs deeper, trying to trace Pure Blood's signal, but every time he reaches a node, the data folds onto itself, recursive encryption looping into infinity. Then a sudden surge of red static floods his field of view. Implant warning overlay. Neural feedback loop detected. Abort connection. The codex nexus heats up against his temple. He disconnects, grasping as faint smoke rises from his neural ports at the back of his neck. His inner monologue. Whoever that was, he is he's not just hiding, he's baiting. Behind him in the data stream, a single word pulses faintly in red. Pure. Still connected to the fading signal, Shadow Immortal's implant scrapes fragments of routing data before the feedback loop hits. Green script flickers across his vision, corrupted but decipherable. Implant overlay. Location: Inner City Sector 9. Site tag: Abandoned court facility. Timestamp: Monday, 2 a.m. His eyes widen, his inner monologue. The old Republic courthouse. They shut that place down a century ago. Shadow Immortal sits in his sanctum, staring at the decoded coordinates hovering in the air. A green light flickers in his eyes. A trap doesn't frighten me. I've learned long ago that knowledge is the danger. The green code morphs into white text, the word from an old paper book, and we fade into the flashback. A dim, cluttered apartment. The young version of him sits cross legs on the floor, surrounded by piles of worn paperbacks and patched with tape. And a broken laptop patched with tape. The walls are plastered with circuit schematics and martial arts posters. Outside the window, the neon city hums. His fingers trace the cover of the physical book, The Hacker's Mind: Penetration in the Modern Era. That book changed everything, not for what it said, but for what it unlocked. His eyes glow faintly green for the first time. He flips through pages faster and faster. Flip, 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 flip. The text blurs into light streams around him. Each panel shows the passing second as knowledge floods in. Networking diagrams, code snippets, encryption charts, human psychology excerpts. One page per second, one thought per breath, one life ending, another beginning. He collapses backwards, gasping, nose bleeding silently from the strain. The room trembles as his mind adapts. Faint green text bleeds across the walls, fragments of the book of life foreshadowing. A shadow of his older self appears faintly behind him, glowing, watching. Knowledge became my weapon and my burden. Back in the sanctum, the older Shadow Immortal smirks faintly, his eyes calm, scar visible under his temple port. He rises, tightening the strap of his armor. I've faced worse than a trap. The green glow of the Codex Nexus flares, forming a halo behind his head. Cut to a wide shot of the decrepit courthouse, broke columns, shattered glass, holographic remnants of the Republic's emblem flickering on a cracked wall. Narration scrolls across the panel. Before the unification, this was where they sentenced citizens without trial, exiled them, erased their identities, and called it order. In the distance, street lights flicker. A drone drifts by, indifferent, to the ruins' silence. Shattered concrete steps lead up to a massive door chained shut long ago. Moss and urban rot creeps over carved justice statues, missing faces and arms. An old sign, Court of National Order, barely hangs by from a rusted beam. A flickering holographic emblem of the Republic hovers over the entrance. A broken eagle shaped crest glitching between frames, sometimes replaced by ghostly digital artifacts of past trials. Wide shot inside the ruined courthouse, flickering halo torches cast eerie green blue light through the cracks. Dozens of people stand in loose rows. Workers, merchants, soldiers, all ordinary citizens now dressed in matching dark coats. In the upper shadows between broken pillars, a shadow immortal crouches silently, armor dimmed, codex nexus humming faintly. Recruits, not soldiers, citizens. He's building an army out of forgotten. His eyes narrowed, locking onto the figure at the center. Pureblood stands tall on a cracked marble platform, his massive frame illuminated by an overhead drone beam. His armor is jet black with pulsing red veins of energy. His presence radiates charisma and danger. He doesn't shout, he commands. That must be him. Pureblood, Shadow Immortal tells himself. Pureblood raises one hand, palm open, and the hall falls silent. People of pure-blooded race. A pause. His eyes flash crimson. I sense an outsider among us. Close up, the crowd's eyes ignite, not red, but blinding white. Their faces go expressionless, their posture robotic. Light from their eyes spills onto the cracked stone floor like small spotlights. His words hit like a psychic shockwave. Their will gone. Medium shot. Shadow Immortals tenses. His hands reach for his karambit blades. The Codex Nexus flares instinctively as he tries to activate shield mode. Too late. A massive arm grabs him from behind. A henchman, twice his size, his eyes glowing the same white light. Thunk! Metal hand on the armor. He felt me through the crowd. Pure blood turns his head slightly, smirking, the white light from his followers reflect in his eyes. Welcome, Shadow. I was hoping you'd come. A montage filled with overlapping books, holograms, and neural data streams. Young Shadow Immortal sits alone in a room surrounded by thousands of open sources, philosophy, quantum science, ancient scripts, puzzle algorithms. His eyes blaze green as lines of text swirl in his head. Once I realized my memory was limitless, I set out to consume everything humanity ever knew. Shadow Immortal moving through different ages and places, decoding lost Mayan scripts in a jungle ruin, studying in Tibetan archives under candlelight, hacking an orbital database in zero gravity isolation. Each version of him is slightly older, more composed, more distinct. Languages forgotten, puzzles unsolved, truths buried. I learned them all. A glowing underground cavern, ancient and futuristic at once, crystalline roots from into the shape of a massive neural network pulsing with bioluminescent light. He stands in awe before it, the tree of life, half organic, half data construct. Then I found it, the source behind all knowledge, the tree that grows through every mind ever born. Visual detail. The branches resembled synapses within its light flicker, ghostly silhouettes of thinkers and inventors across history. Close up, he touches the glowing bark. Green energy floods his body. His eyes flare white green. The Codex Nexus scar appears faintly for the first time. It offered me a choice: remember everything forever or forget the pain of truth. Immortality is not life, it is memory without mercy, the tree whispered. He carves his vow into the rock floor using a shard crystal energy from the tree. The words glow faintly. Protect the innocent, preserve knowledge, guard balance. That day I swore never to let the world's power fall into hands unworthy of it, including my own. He spars barefoot on a mountain top with monks for 6 disciplines. Rain cascades around him. He meditates under freezing waterfalls, breath steady. He bends rebar with his arms as his natural implants pulses green. Libraries, dojos, and labs blur together behind him like one long training montage. I've studied every form of combat, every philosophy, every way the body and mind could grow together. He stands at a glass tower overlooking a futuristic skyline, his own cybersecurity empire. Holograms display his company's logo, Quantum Dynamic Security Group. Employees in suits pass through the lobby filled with energy sculptures and arts of digital warriors. Knowledge has become business. Business became freedom. I built a fortress of code to fund my search for something greater. Deep underground, he wears expedition gear, light glowing from his wristband. Before him, a monolithic chamber filled with metallic veins and floating fragments of glowing alloy, half organic, half metallic. Each shard pulses with light blue. He reaches out, his eyes widening in awe. Hidden underneath the oldest tectonic scars of life, I found it. Mithrilium, forged by time itself. Industry furnaces glow hot white, robotic forges mold plates under his supervision, ancient symbols from tree mix and digital blueprints. Final shot, he stands before his new armor, gleaming black green, reflecting the Codex Nexus glow. It wasn't a weapon, it was a covenant, proof that even man can become a shield. Close up, the henchman who grabbed him from behind, his glowing white eyes wide with mindless fury. Shadow Immortal's expression shifts from surprise to razor focus. Crack! He slams his elbow backwards into the man's ribs, shattering armor plating. For centuries, I've trained for control, to break, not to destroy. Dozens of recruits rush him, eyes glowing white. He sidesteps, ducks, and redirects the momentum to crash into a marble column. Another drops unconscious after a nerve strike. One blade sliced through a drone's optic mind flight. Woof! Crash! Hiss! They don't know they're victims too, puppets of a voice they can't refuse. Pureblood watches calmly from the dais, arms crossed, his expression amused. Mercy is weakness, Shadow. It'll tear you apart. You don't understand mercy. It's control, Shadow Immortal says. The dust settles, broken columns, falling drones, unconscious recruits everywhere. Shadow Immortal stands, breathing hard, blades sheathed, faint cracks glowing across his armor from overuse. Pureblood smirks from the shadows, unscathed. You can't save them all, Shadow Immortal says. Maybe not, but I can stop you. A wide cinematic frame. Pureblood and Shadow Immortal collide mid-strike. Energy waves bursting outwards. The entire courthouse trembles. Pillars shatter. Sparks of red and green electricity arc between their blows. His power wasn't strength alone. It was something older, something that reached through the flesh and into thoughts itself. Close up, Pureblood lands a devastating strike across Shadow Immortal's chest plate. The Mithrilium armor cracks for the first time and then repairs itself, for it is alive and not alive at the same time. A hairline fracture glowing, a molten green Shadow Immortal's eyes widen. Crash! Nothing had ever pierced the armor of Mithrilium, not monsters, not until now. Soul, the immortal bleeds. Dynamic combat shot. Pureblood moves with blinding speed, blending ancient wrestling grips with brutal martial precision. He locks Shadow Immortal's arms and slams him through a column. His movements, something between forgotten sports and divine punishment. I've studied every style ever recorded, but this was new. Close up, Pureblood grabs Shadow Immortal by the throat, holding him inches from his face. Veins of red light pulse beneath Pureblood's skin, and his eyes glow fiercely. I learned long ago that power doesn't come from the body, it comes from the mind that controls it. He leans in, his voice cold. I've enslaved the brilliance for centuries. Scientists, warriors, thinkers, their knowledge is mine. Every stolen thought, every genius erased, fueling the monster before me. Pureblood psychic energy invades Shadow Immortal's mind. Scene of chaos swirl, showing faces of enslaved. Shadow Immortal's eyes flicker between green and white as his body tenses under psychic control. He reaches inside me, clawing through memory, every meditation, every mantra, twisted against me. Pureblood, you're not special, Shadow. You're just my next vessel. And faintly lit, serene mountain temple, young Shadow Immortal sits cross-legged in snow, breathing calm, surrounded by ancient scrolls. Voices of old masters whisper. Discipline is the chain that binds chaos. His codex nexus flickers. Green light reawakens. But I spent centuries in silence, learning to fight not with fists, but with thought. In reality, Shadow Immortal's eyes blaze bright green, his hands from an ancient combat mantra breaking Pureblood's mental grip. Shoom! Pureblood, what? Fast motion shot. Shadow Immortal twists free and slashes with his twin karambit blades. One glows with green energy, cutting across Pureblood's face. Blood and light scattered through the air. Ah! He wanted to control me. Instead, he'll remember me forever. Shadow Immortal vanishes into the shadows, leaving Pureblood clutching his bleeding face. The cut grows faintly red, the mark of his failure. Our first battle ended not with victory, but with a promise. He would return stronger, and I would be ready. Quantum Dynamic Headquarters, a skyscraper fortress gleaming with green light against the night sky. Its outer walls pulse faintly with energy fields around it, hovering sentry drones shimmering invisibly, forming a near impenetrable barrier. The world knows this place as a company, but beneath its walls lies my sanctuary, my last defense. The interior glows with emerald light, endless bookshelves spiral upward like towers of light. Old text mixed with holographic archives, digital data cascades in columns of light while mechanical librarians glide quietly along its rails. Shadow Immortal's armor cracked and torn and then repaired limps into the center of the library. Removing his helmet, faint steam rises from his skin where pure blood's psychic energy burned him. Never before had I doubted my strength or my mind. Close up, he rips through shelves, tossing ancient scrolls, holographic discs, and data drives. His expression is focused but desperate, rage and fear twisting together. Books and holograms scatter across the marble floor, reflecting lines of code and old language. Thump, crash, clatter. For the first time in centuries, I searched not for knowledge, but for hope. He stops, breathing heavily, surrounded by chaos. His eyes flick to a single name burned across a glowing page in an ancient codex he found. Pure blood. The letters pulse faintly red, almost alive. He was already written into history before I was even born. Why, Shadow Immortal screams silently, hurling a book across the room. Shards of green light explode from the codex nexus as he loses control for a split second again. The walls tremble, the fortress reacting to his mental surge. Boom! The first time I ever feared a man was the day I met Pure Blood. Dark lightning, shadow, dark lighting, Shadow Immortal kneels among the ruins of his own library, head bowed, surrounded by torn pages and shattered holograms. Before him, Behind him, the faint image of Pureblood's face flickering on a broken halo screen, smiling. The next fall of the shadows. All right, that was my comic, and let me know if you want to see issue two. But that took me a minute to do issue one, and I'm pretty proud of this character, the story, um, and I'm gonna be making some more issues. But let me know if you like it, and if you want to see issue two. But if you don't, I really don't care because I like it. All right, that was Hack the File, something different, and I'll see you next time.